things we never expected or creating challenges we never expected. I'm sure for most of us, we see swamps like this and we can think of alligators. The problem today is probably most of you encounter them in places like this, out on a golf course, in a neighborhood pond, where these animals have become very habituated to people and really aren't very afraid of them anymore. In some cases, as you know, you can walk right up to them. This isn't good. It can lead to some bad situations. So, with all of this in mind, Tom Murphy has been working on Spring Island since he's been retired in 2009, looking at alligators out there and looking at what we would call their flight distance. How close can you get to them before they make some move to get away from you? This alligator moved off into the water. Maybe it's in the water and it sees you approaching and it goes underwater. Out at the moors, one of our staff members works with a foundation, Outdoor Dreams Foundation, which is a Make-A-Wish foundation for kids who their wish is to hunt. They want to be outdoors. And we will allow them to hunt and harvest a few alligators each year. That's a really big treat for them and their families to come down for the weekend. That man drives around in a white pickup truck. You ride around with him in a white truck and you're not going to see a whole lot of alligators. Are they going to start going underwater some distance away? They're not going to allow him to get too close to him because of the association they have with him in that white truck. And that's what Tom has kind of been working on at Spring Island, is how do we kind of create in these animals that fear again or respect again so that they don't allow us to get too close to them. They don't want to get too associated with us and too habituated with us. So we're taking some of Tom's studies and we're starting to expand it. In a project we're doing with Clemson University, Dr. Kathy Jahowski, and we have a PhD student, Angie Kidd, working on this now. And as far as we know, this is one of the first studies where people have really looked at alligator ecology, biology within developed communities, within landscapes that have been heavily impacted by people and where lots of people and alligators live in conjunction with each other. Most of the information we have on alligators is when Tom and them were working on them when they were threatened and endangered, and they were still living in the rivers and swamps and isolated places. So now we're trying to gather information about how they live in these real human-dominated urban environments with information, then you might can come up with some ideas and management approaches that can help humans and these animals coexist a little better without too many interactions. Anytime biologists get working on animals, the first thing they want to do, like Tom did with some, is put radio transmitters on them so we can follow them and see how they're moving, when they're moving, and what kind of habitats they use and don't use. Usually we're interested in the habitats an animal uses because that would be habitats they like, they prefer, and we would try to recreate those habitats. In this case, it might be the reverse. Where don't alligators like to go? What habitats don't they utilize? And maybe utilizing some of this information in how we manage and develop some of these areas where there could be a lot of people and a lot of alligators. So we went out this spring and caught about 35 different alligators on several different properties: Spring Island, Fripp Island, Hiawatha Island, and Sea Pine. These are communities that are very interested in this study because they know, they see the situation that they encounter with people and alligators every day. So this is our A team for alligator catching. The first guy on the rope is Andrew Gross, who was the alligator biologist for the DNR. Then there's Dr. Thomas Rainwater, who's a crocodilian expert at Clemson University. I'm just kind of holding a pole there and waiting on my cue to do something. And then Bo Bauer, a biologist out at Clemson, out at Nemours, who's on the tail end. And I kid Tom, I'd gone my whole career in wildlife without catching alligators, and it really was not on my bucket list to get on the wrong end of the road with an alligator, but here it comes. So then, as we catch them, and really, they're cold-blooded animals. They will struggle when you get them on a road like that, and the fight's on for 10 or 15 minutes, and then they kind of wear themselves out, build up a lot of lactic acid, and they're a little bit more easy to deal with then. So here's our biologist, Bo, getting ready to mount a transmitter on the scoots on the back of the head of this big guy. And this is one of our interns, one of our interns, Randy. Randy comes from the state of Washington. One of the real treats out there for clumps at Nemours is we get a lot of students in, graduate students. Randy's an intern. She finished her BS degree, just kind of building up her resume material. But I always wonder when they send back photos like this to their mom and dad and say, this is what I did today, what's the reaction from the parents, you know? I mean, how do they like that? But it's always fun. Randy was a great intern. She really chipped in and was a key part of the A team. So here's the transmitter. It's a small transmitter here. It's actually sutured into the scoots and skin of the animal, and it actually communicates with satellites. And then we can release them. They've never been tranquilized or anything. Our goal is to release them nice and healthy. Here he's either giving us a big smile or trying to remember exactly who we are. I'm not sure which one on that. And these are the types of information we get back. This is Spring Island here. The blue is a big male that we captured, and the pink is a female that we captured here on the island. One of the things surprising about this female, she went out in the marsh and spent a good bit of time. I believe Tom said there was a freshwater pond out there. Gators can go into the salt marsh and spend a few days there, and obviously likes to hunt and fish in those situations, like this guy does. But they have to come back in or somehow get access to fresh water and kind of cleanse their system out after a few days. So now from these 35 animals, we've got over 35,000 data points on their movement since May. And the student will be tweezing that out, and we'll be able to look very closely at distances traveled, travel lanes that they may have, and points of interest that they're going to, and places that they use or places they avoid, which would be really important. But we still got to get back and deal with this situation. And one of the things Tom has been trying to work with is, as he mentioned earlier, these animals are actually pretty smart. We underestimate how well adapted they are to their environment. And they don't like to be handled and caught. As Tom said, it's kind of like a near-death experience, and you saw us sitting on that animal, working on that animal. For most of them, they want to avoid that never happening again. So with Tom's work, he looked out at Spring Island before he did any capturing or any handling of the animals, and looked at the flight distance. How close could he get to wild alligators on Spring Island? And I believe that distance was 23 feet, yards, 23 yards. And then he started trapping some of the animals, capturing them, bringing them in, not really mishandling them, and then releasing them. And you don't have to catch every animal. The other animals in those ponds see what's going on. When I told you about that example of that white truck coming by, those are alligators that survived being hunted, but they know what that white truck means when it comes by. And Tom will tell you, they know sometimes what it means when he walks by or drives by in Beaufort. And so after capturing and handling some of those animals, that flight distance went up to 60 yards, a threefold increase. So now we're trying to look at that and expand that on some of the other situations, some of these other communities, capturing these animals, handling these animals, tagging them so we can identify the individual animals, releasing them back into the population, and can we create a greater flight distance? So people may not be able to walk up and touch an animal if they're foolish enough to do that. So that there's a little more distance between people and animals. The whole goal here is try to reduce and get those occasional negative interactions down to as close to 0% as we can. We're not going to ever get it to zero. As long as there are people and alligators out there, there's going to be a chance for a bad interaction. But we try to educate the public, and in this case, we're trying to, in some respect, work with the alligators themselves to try to make this an even better place so that they can coexist with people and on the same landscape. Now, I don't have any data for you. This has just started, but maybe in a couple of years we can come back and let you know what we found out there. This will be a really interesting situation because no one's really looked at alligators in these kind of urban, human-dominated landscape. So I suspect we'll find out things that even we're not expecting to find. Any questions?
Bernie,
Yes.
I've practiced veterinary medicine in this area for about 35 years, and one thing that's very apparent to me is that dogs are a major attractant for alligators in the gated communities. Is there a way, perhaps, if you're trying to teach them to respect people with these actions, maybe you can incorporate a dog into the equation? Because the dog is often the attractant that puts the person in trouble alongside them. So
You're exactly right. Usually they're not interested in two-legged creatures. This is four-legged creatures they're really interested in. So, I don't know, Tom, maybe we need to have a dog walking around with us too.
The dog is a prey size for an alligator. If a human is standing, he's not. Gets down on all fours, now he is. So, those are some of the rules that the alligators play by. And yeah, very much so. A dog in the water is very much in jeopardy in most of these communities. If you're 20 feet from the water, you're not in any jeopardy. Alligators aren't going to run down somebody. They're ambush hunters. They come out, they start very quickly. They go 15, 20 feet, and that's it. So if you give them a little bit of distance, you're not going to take risk, even if you have your dog with you.
You two have done a great job with crocodiles. Are alligators as aggressive as crocodiles are shown to be?
Nowhere near. Saltwater croc and Nile croc are the two most aggressive crocodiles, and it's just an entirely different species. It's the difference between a raccoon and a grizzly bear. It's a big difference. Yeah.
When we see from time to time these estimates of how many alligators there are, what's the methodology? How do you come up with there's 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000?
There's some survey work that has been done, and we've used all kinds of methods to try to back that up and make those survey estimates as realistic as possible. But if you go out at night with spotlights, you'll be amazed at how many eyes you'll see glaring back at you on some of these ponds. So there is a very strong, healthy population. Tom may know, I don't know if there's an estimate for the state or not.
Yeah, originally what we did for a statewide estimate, we did intensive study areas on the Cooper River, Santee, and the Ace Basin. We looked at alligator nesting. We know each nest is 1/20th of what's actually out there. So you multiply that out, extrapolate it to all similar habitats, and you come up with an estimate. It's ballpark, but it's close enough to be a working model. The night counts show us trends. When I first started out, you could go do a night survey on the Edisto River and you'd see 4 alligators in 20 miles. And all 4 of them would be juveniles. Now you see 150.
I understand Florida's got several different species that there now, crocodiles and alligators. Do you have any other problem here?
Now, crocodiles can't tolerate our winters, so they're even restricted to South Florida. And there are a few caimans down there, but they're introduced through the pet trade. They're not there naturally.
How far north does alligator go habitat?
In the southern part of North Carolina is breeders. We'll get strays that show up occasionally farther north, but as far as nesting, just barely into North Carolina.
One last question, saltwater, is there any of them that have saltwater as their natural habitat?
They can, alligators can tolerate, as adults, they can tolerate full sea strength for about a week. Then they have to come back to freshwater and get their salt balance back. Small alligators like hatchlings, they die in 12 parts per thousand. So they build up a salt tolerance as they get older and larger.
One more.
I personally witnessed a alligator taking down a full-grown cow, pulling it into the pond. I watched that.
I've seen that with deer.
Golden, thank you for bringing this wonderful program. This is just a great program, but we want you to come back, and we'll keep in touch. Okay, Howard, you're not ready. You are ready.
I don't think I can lift it down. Oh, Jim, would you mind to open the door and have them please come forward?
It's a wonderful tradition.
This is what makes my job worthwhile. Every year I get to make this presentation to the people of service, as I say, with so much civility that I pay. And here come Linda and Amber, walking slower than Bernie. Come on, please. I don't wish to be ghost, but I think you ought to know where we are with this. Now, Chip just split bills in half, because he knows you want to compare, combine, and do things. But we all hold this just a minute. Will you hold one? Will you hold one? Thank you. I think Chip said this year we came up with $1,265. So good for us every week. And I hope we'll continue this tradition. You both will be with us next year as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to all of you for generosity of spirit.
Let me tell a war story about this. We went on a cruise last week, got down there, and they told us we didn't have to have a passport and all that sort of stuff. Well, you had to have at least a passport or a birth certificate. We had these. She went over to my house, took a picture of her, sent it down, and got to go cruise.
Anybody says you don't need a passport, don't believe them. Seriously, in this day and age, it ain't happening. Okay, next, we have a gift certificate, thank you, Chick, for Old Time Meat Market, $30. Okay. 4404. Oh! Yikes. There you go. Cut the neck, sir. 3 diamonds. It rolls on. Excellent. Okay. Don't forget the card buckets before you leave one more time. Yes, sir. Oh, I won't get to that. Okay. There'll be a board meeting this Friday at the retreat on Ladies Island. Thank you, Rachel. And Pia and Laura will be selling Christmas cookies over here after the meeting. Laura's here, I don't think Pia made it, but they're selling Christmas cookies to help finance their Rotary trip to the West Coast at the end of the school year. So now's the time to get that last minute stocking stuff. Okay. Is there anything else to come before the club for the good of Rotary? Hearing nothing, we'll recite the 4-way test. of things we think, say, or do. If the truth is it fair to all concerned? Will it go goodwill and beneficial? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Father Andrew will give our closing prayer.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this Christmas season. Please bless us, all of us who are traveling. May we be safe. May we enjoy time with our family and friends. And most of all, be grateful for you coming into your Son coming into the world to save us. We thank you for all your many blessings and gifts, Heavenly Father. Amen.
Christmas